Today we're doing a beginner-friendly playthrough of the first 50 turns with Eleanor of the French Empire here. We're going to be going through our decisions step by step to explain the reasoning behind the choices we make, so stick around and you might actually learn something. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with the channel. So you always want to pay attention to any inherent abilities and bonuses that your civilization gets. So there are a couple here for the French, but they're realistically not going to have much of an impact on the first 50 turns, so we're just going to get into this. Okay, so here we go. If this looks familiar to you at all, it's because I was actually doing a tutorial yesterday talking about city planning and district adjacency bonuses, and this is one of the starts we got when I was doing that. It looked so intriguing that I figured, you know what the hell, let's actually play a game on it. So with that being said, I already kind of have a plan. Now, although I did go over it obviously in that tutorial from yesterday, I'll talk a bit more about it now, but try and do it as briefly as possible in case you have actually seen that video already. But realistically, as France here, we're going to be playing a culture game. Now, in order to get a boost in your culture games, if you can get an early game wonder, it's going to go a long ways to helping you out. Not only will it give your theater square a +2 adjacency bonus, so if you look here in the Civic tree, the actual Eureka to unlock drama and poetry, which allows you to build your theater square, is build a wonder. So it really works out well if you can manage to get an early game wonder. Now, being that we are playing on deity, our options as far as those early game wonders are rather limited, but fortunately for us, we have a good one to choose from. So we're going to go ahead and plan to put the Temple of Artemis right here. So in case you don't know, it's a wonder that allows each camp, pasture, and plantation improvement within 4 tiles of this wonder to provide +1 amenity, and it must be placed adjacent to a camp improvement. And as an added bonus, it also gives you +4 food and +3 housing, which is obviously a very nice perk to get in the early game. So clearly we're going to have to get our camp set up on the deer here before being able to build that wonder. Not to mention, we're also going to have to clear the marsh that it's underneath it, and in order to do that, we're going to have to go and get the irrigation technology, because as you can see here, it allows you to clear that marsh. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of a weird route. We're going to get animal husbandry first so that we can get that camp online as quickly as possible, and then we'll head towards irrigation and then finally swing back to pick up archery. Now, the reasoning behind this being that it's going to give us a little bit of extra time to get a builder out, and then in a perfect world we'll be able to farm a resource and get the boost towards irrigation to shave some time off, not to mention get a slinger out and possibly kill a unit with the slinger to save some time, or to shave some time off the archery tech, because obviously without us being on deity, which we are, just in case you're wondering, you basically need every turn you can in order to secure early game wonders. So without going into too much more detail about our plan here, this is where we would plan to put the theater square district. And then eventually, as we do more exploring and see how the land is, if there's a nice location for a city, either up here or here, we are most likely going to use this tile here where the wheat is for a government plaza in order to increase our adjacency bonus even more, and then hopefully set up something with the cities. Now, I have no problem getting that wheat resource online, building that farm, and then sacrificing it later when it's more productive, because as I said, every turn counts when you're trying to get that early wonder, so it's definitely worth the extra builder charge to improve it to a farm and then remove that later when we want to go ahead and throw down a government plaza or even another wonder if there doesn't happen to be a good city location that'll work out for us here. So, enough talking, let's get this city settled. We get a +1 arrow score there for being on the river. We're going to head straight into a scout because we want to get out and see what's around here as quickly as we can. Now, since the June patch recently, the barbarians are a lot more active in the beginning of the game, so if you're a new player, I would highly suggest that you keep your warrior fairly close to your capital. I mean, clearly you're going to still want to do some exploring, but just keep in mind that barbarians can show up on your doorstep pretty quickly, so you want to have some troops around in order to give them the welcome they deserve. Alright, so speaking of the devil, we got the barbarians showing up already. We're going to take a shot at them with our warrior here. I don't imagine we'll be able to kill them, clearly not in one attack, but what I meant by that is they're going to peace out and run away from us, so not expecting to get anything there. What I will do, though, is take a quick turn to heal up. So it looks like a drought is starting there. We're not really impacted by it, so not too concerned. Now, we have finished a scout here. Clearly, we have a ways to go before our capital is going to gain in population here. So what we're going to do is, start on the builder right away. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go into Paris, because right now I can guarantee you that they're working this tile right here with the 1 food and 3 production, but I'm actually going to get them to switch over and work this tile for the 2 food and 1 production, so that we can get our our city to grow to the 2nd population, and it can actually start work on a settler, because it's always important to get your cities down as quickly as you can within the first 100 turns. Ideally, you want to get at least 8 to 12, depending on what victory type you're chasing after within the first 100 turns if you're able. Not to mention, our production is going to be tied up for a long time building the Temple of Artemis, so I really would like to get that settler out first. So we'll go into manage citizens, and we're going to force them to work this tile here to grow a little bit quicker. Now, once that change takes effect, it will increase the amount of time that it's going to take us to get that builder, but I still think it's definitely worth it. So let's continue exploring with our warrior here. Alright, so we found Rapa Nui. Let's take a look and see. Oh, it does look, yeah. We got the first meet with them, so that's great. Let's see what their quest is here. Recruit a great merchant. Alright, that won't be happening anytime, but at least by getting the first meet with them, we ended up getting +2 culture in our capital, which actually helps out quite a bit in the early game. Like, any boost to your culture is great, because it helps you get towards your next level of government even quicker, which is super important in this early level. Not to mention, it helps you unlock your governor tiles even faster, which, again, is obviously a very good thing. Okay, so with our scout now, we're going to head out in the opposite direction of our warrior to go take a look and see what we can see. So it looks like there's a river up here with some nice production, so we could have a nice location for our 2nd city. We'll have to keep exploring. We did find a goodie hut, so we'll go ahead and snatch that up here. We only got +40 gold, but I guess that's better than nothing. Now, our capital did expand here to the deer tile, so we're not going to have to go ahead and buy that, which is a nice little bonus. Let's take a look here, and by clicking on Manage Citizens, it's going to show us which one they're expanding to next, and they're going to be taking the copper resource, which is nice in one way, but unfortunately for us, that means that we're going to most likely end up buying this sugar tile, because we'll want to get this online as soon as we can once we hit irrigation, and that way we can sell it off to hopefully whichever enemy civilization we end up meeting in the very near future here. Okay, so we have another barbarian scout up this way and a goodie hut, and there's the actual barbarian camp, so that's great. We'll head up that way. Oh wait, that's great. We only have our scout. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So we know it's there, and I think it's within 6 tiles. We should be lucky here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, no. We're shit out of luck. It's 7 tiles away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Now, just in case you don't know, if a barbarian camp is within 6 tiles of a city of yours, you get 3 era score for clearing it out, but if it's anything bigger than 6, you only get 2. So unfortunately, it's 1 tile too far, and we're only going to get 2 if we manage to clear that. Alright, so let's keep going with our warrior here. Considering that first barbarian scout we saw was headed this way, let's kind of mosey on down that way. Alright, so it looks like we met the Aztecs here, which is good. Now, for newer players, especially if you're trying harder difficulties, a lot of the times I'd suggest, if you haven't bumped into this enemy civilization right close to one of your cities, I'd suggest not exchanging information on your cities for them, because it makes it harder for them to show up on your doorstep with an army and attack you early on. But I'm fairly confident we're going to be able to keep them happy, because we're going to have that sugar luxury upgraded and online very quickly, which will sell to them, and it'll make them happy, because the Aztecs actually have, their leader has a specific thing where they get pissed at you if you have luxuries they don't, but they like it when they have luxuries you don't. They feel impressed and they are happier towards you. So we'll trigger that little effect they have there and be able to keep them on our good side, I'm pretty sure. So speaking of keeping them on our good side, now that we've met them, the first thing we want to do is send them a delegation. If you don't send the civilization a delegation on the first turn, they're going to get fucking pissed at you and they won't accept it. So always send them a delegation if you want to stay on their good side and you can afford it. It definitely goes a long way. So if we quickly take a look at the resources here, we get +3 because we sent them a delegation, but they had a -6 first impression of us for whatever reason. So we're not going to worry about that. Looks like we're going to be able to... Looks like we're not. I was just about to say, looks like we're going to be able to snatch the goody hut on them, but because their eagle warrior there has zone of control, it's going to slow our movement down, and we're not going to be able to move into the forest because it's going to take too much. We will just wait there instead of going over towards where the rice is, on the off chance that they move towards the barbarians and don't take the goody hut. But I'm pretty sure we're just shit out of luck for that goody hut, unfortunately. Alright, so we're going to keep moving with our warrior here. Now, instead of going down here, we're just going to take the longer way and avoid the movement penalty for the running into the forest there. And it'll allow us to see more things in the long run.
Man is the noblest of all animals.
So we've unlocked...
Separated from law and justice.
We've unlocked our city policies here. We've unlocked our government policies here, our first set of them. So I'd always suggest that you take God King, because you want to get a Pantheon up as quickly as you can. Now, the exception to this rule being if you're playing a civilization like, say, the Mali, for instance, or Indonesia, where you have this immense boost to your faith right away. Or say if you find a relic too before you get to choose your policy slot here, then I would definitely suggest taking urban planning. But unless you're in one of those exceptions to the rule, I would always suggest you take God King, because getting that Pantheon as quickly as you can is definitely worth it. Now, for newer players, I'd suggest you always go into Discipline in order to get that extra 5 combat strength, especially on the higher difficulty levels. But in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and slot in Survey, because I want to get my scout a promotion as quickly as we can so that he can move over the territory even faster, as there's a lot of jungle and forests and shit that we have to go around. Not to mention, we got that boost to culture by having Rapa Nui here. So that will allow us to unlock the next Civic and switch out of the policies here that much faster and get Discipline slotted in for when we actually start looking to clear some barbarians. So as I imagined, we are shit out of luck there for the goody hut, but there's nothing that really could be done about that. So we're just going to stay on this side of the river from the barbarians and not even get close to them. And now hopefully we're going to head up to the northwest a little bit here, and with any luck, we'll be ahead of the Aztecs, so that if we do bump into some more goody huts, we'll be able to grab them. Okay, so again, we're sticking to the flat land here with our warriors so that we can move as fast as we can. Looks like we scored a goody hut, as long as somebody doesn't snipe it from us in the meantime. So Animal Husbandry is online, which is great. We still have 2 more turns until our builder's ready. But now that we have got that second population, we forced the faster growth in the capital. we're going to go ahead and change our citizens, the tiles that they're working again. There's still 2 more turns before this becomes available, but what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to purchase this tile over here where, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and purchase this tile right here where the sugar's on, because we're going to want to get that up online as soon as we do get irrigation finished, and they'll be expanding in 2 turns to the copper, and we'll work that when they do. So now that we do have the city bought, let's quickly go ahead and unlock our citizen here, and they'll switch over to work the 4 yield tile, which is better for us than where we had them locked to force the growth to begin with. Alright, so now that that's taken care of, they should just automatically take care of themselves and switch to working the copper once we unlock it, because now we don't have either of them locked into place. But we will double check just to make sure. It's better safe than sorry. So unfortunately, it looks like the Aztecs are up here, so I doubt we'll be able to find any goodie huts this way, but you never know, so we'll just keep going ahead and moving in that direction. At least we got the one down here. We're granted another scout, so we'll take what we get, and we'll actually send this scout. That barbarian camp is still there, so we'll send it up towards the northeast and see if there's anything up here other than just the coastline. So we're going to have to wait until next turn to skip over the river with that scout there. We finally completed our builder, which is nice. So we're going to definitely get them to go ahead and head towards the camp spot there. So we are going to start work on a slinger. Oops, sorry, what am I talking about? We're going to start work on a settler because we want to get our second city down before we start production on the Temple of Artemis. So taking a quick look at that here, we're going to switch the settler lens on. So in case you don't know, you can either come into it manually by clicking lenses and going to settler there, or you can just click 4 on your keyboard, which I personally find a lot easier. So now that we've explored around here and have a better idea as to exactly what there is to get, what we're going to do is we're going to plan to put our next city here, and we're going to settle on the sugar. That'll allow us to get the sugar up as quickly as we can. Now, I would consider moving over one, so we'd be having quicker access to the 2 4-yield tiles here, but that would make it further away from Paris, and I'd like to get those adjacency bonuses we talked about working. So this is the better spot in my opinion, because we'll be able to get something decent going on in the future. Again, we're not going to worry about it, it's too early at this point, but we'll look into that when it becomes appropriate. So we're going to keep moving with our warrior here, and as we said, we'll get our builder to head over towards that camp and get that online as soon as we can. Now we can finally pop over the river with our scout. We'll go ahead and do that. So it looks like the Aztecs are over here, but with any luck now, we'll be able to get ahead of them and hopefully stay ahead of them. Obviously, in this situation, we wouldn't like to be ahead of them. We'd like them to be a buffer, but there's no way to do that. It did sound like a barbarian camp spawned, and it did. And again, unfortunately, this one's more than 6 tiles away, so we're only going to get 2 air score for clearing it, but we will actually head over to do that now. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to take the roundabout way, and we're going to go situate ourselves in the forest here, and that way, if they spawn units and attack us, at least we'll be in a better defensive position rather than just sitting out here on the grassland or whatever. So it doesn't hurt for us to take our first shot against them before moving into the forest next turn, so we'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so the builder is going to get our camp up online. It'll give us some extra money. Unfortunately, it also eats up our unit charge. We need to remember to save this one here, and now I'm just realizing that we're gonna need to get another builder before we get that sugar online, because we need to use a charge to boost rice in order to help get irrigation faster, but then we're also going to need to clear the marsh there, and we're going to be one shy and not able to get the sugar up online. So with any luck, maybe we'll be lucky and find a goodie hut that gives us a builder, but other than that, we'll have to take care of that once we get the settler out. I think it should still work out fairly decently that we should be able to get a builder before starting work on the Temple of Artemis. Now, the only reason I am being so... I would be worried about getting slingers up to defend ourselves, but as I already had mentioned when we first bumped into the Aztecs, I think as soon as we give them the sugar that it's pretty much going to help them. Or help them. It's pretty much going to get them off our backs. But it could be famous last words, you never know it. They're just going to randomly attack you. And this is not what I like to see. It looks like they're headed down and they're going to be settling down here and completely screw up our plans for our second city. So with that being said, it looks like we might be going into war fairly early here, because if they fuck us over and take the good city location, there doesn't seem to be any production down here for a good city, and so we might just be forced into conflict essentially, and it be unavoidable at this point. But time will tell here, because it's very hard to get aggressive when you're trying to get a culture game going, especially if you're going to be sinking all these turns into the Temple of Artemis. It isn't exactly a recipe for conquest on DD difficulty level. So we'll move our our builder over here to get ready for this. We'll go ahead and purchase that now. Now, like I said, we'll pop into the forest for a better defensive spot there with the warrior, and we'll go ahead and build the farm here to give the boost towards irrigation, so that'll speed that up. And then we'll just have them sleep until they're actually able to get rid of that marsh there. Alright, now we are meeting Genghis Khan, so yeah, we seem to be pretty much boxed in here, and it is definitely not looking like a very good start. I mean, we'll head down south here and see if there's any opportunities this way, but for the moment this is actually looking like a pretty bad start to the game, to be completely honest, considering what we're going for and then having two very aggressive civilizations so close to us. Let's just stay here, and hopefully we might be able to sit on the tile that they want to expand to and prevent them from taking it. I don't think we're going to be that lucky, but it doesn't hurt to try and screw up their plans a little bit, and maybe we'll hit the lottery and be able to get our settler over there. But I mean, like I said, chances are very freaking slim. So again, we'll just skip turn with our scout. With our other scout, we're going to head down here and see if there's any better locations to the south. Okay, so they cleared that camp out. In a perfect world, they can head up north here, and that would be nice, but I don't want to get my hopes up. So we'll tell our builder to go to sleep here. The scouts, they haven't moved their settler yet, so I'm just going to keep skipping turn with their scout. So they did take a swing up to the north. Now, hopefully they don't just plop down right where they are. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully they move one more tile before settling, but again, fingers crossed, but we're not going to hold our freaking breath, that's for sure. And yeah. So unfortunately they settled there, which screws up our plan here. But I suppose it'll just force us to build it one step closer. It could have been worse. They could have like settled right here and completely fucked us, but so we'll go ahead and pin our new location accordingly. And with any luck, we'll just have to buy our way up towards these better tiles as quickly as we can. Okay, so we'll bop the barbarian encampment down here with our warrior again. Now with our scout, we're just going to go ahead and put them on automate exploration.
Skill without imagination is
We've
craftsmanship.
got craftsmanship. Unfortunately, we had to research it the hard way, but sometimes you just can't avoid that. As far as our policies go, I'm not too worried about it anymore now that we are going to be wanting to clear out barbarian camps. I'm just going to slot discipline in. It looks like our scouts aren't really being as effective because of how boxed in we are at the moment. But unfortunately, we do still have to keep God King slotted in because we haven't got a Pantheon yet. Now, as far as our Civic goes, we're going to go ahead and work towards state workforce. We might get lucky and get our Pantheon up, and then we can switch into Corvée temporarily, which would help give us production towards the Temple of Artemis there. Not to mention, it'll unlock a governor title quicker, and we can get Magnus set up in the capital and possibly chop a little bit if we have to. So we'll start headed over towards our new city location with the settler there. And in the meantime, we still have a bit of time to kill before we move forward here. So now we're definitely going to want to get as many slingers up as we can in order to save on the production. This being because it's only 35 production in order to build a slinger, but an archer is 60 production. So it's basically half the production cost to get the slinger, and it's only $60 to upgrade them. So you definitely want to be as efficient as you can be and build as many slingers before you get the archery improvement in order to save yourself that production time. Not to mention, if we get lucky and end up being able to kill a barbarian or something with a slinger, it'll also get us our tech boost towards archery that much sooner, which would be nice. So we're going to go ahead and finish them off here with our warrior. Now, I'm going to go ahead. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to kill the scout since they're going stir crazy on us here. But I'm going to go ahead and turn fast combat back on here. I had it off because I was in the later ages of the game, and I don't know, I just like the animations of the like futuristic units, like the modern stuff, like jet fighters and missile cruisers and that kind of shit. So I always turn it on for myself. And I just forgot to turn it back off. Alright, so we took out that camp. We'll move up a little bit closer here with the warrior. We want to keep them fairly close. But as I said, we've managed to keep the Aztecs happy at this point. So they're sending us a delegation. That's a good sign. Alright, so the Mongols have their Pantheon. Fortunately, we're still a ways to go before we get ours. So we'll keep headed towards the south there with our scout. That's basically our only chance of finding anything useful. Now the warrior has a promotion, so we'll go ahead and grab that. I'm going to take Battle Cry over Tortoise. And the reason I chose Battle Cry over Tortoise in this particular case, normally I actually do go for Tortoise first because I think having that defense from ranged attacks is a better upgrade in most situations. However, we have the Aztecs and the Mongols near us, and both of them basically are predominantly melee attacks. Like, they'll have a lot more Eagle Warriors if the Aztecs decide to get aggressive towards us, and the Mongols go towards cavalry more rather than ranged units, since it's going to be a while before they get their unique unit, which is a horse archer, but that's not until the knight technology of stirrups, so we have a long way before that happens, and so that's why I think the battle cry is a better choice in this specific case. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and plop our city down here, and right away we're going to start on a builder so that we can get things going as quickly as we can. Here our slinger's finished. We're going to go ahead and build some more. Now, unfortunately, we're shit out of luck that barbarian scout had already killed themselves, but you never know, maybe another camp will spawn in the near future and we can get lucky, so might as well at least have them looking for enemy scouts here. Alright, so sounds like we found a goodie hut. Oops. Nice. So we'll make our way towards that with the scout. And again, we'll just keep moving out a little bit further with... So the Aztecs got the God of the Forge, so they're going to have plus 25% production towards melee units on top of their already considerable production bonuses as being a DD level AI. But hopefully, like we're talking about, we can keep them happy as soon as we get this sugar online here. And so unfortunately we're shit out of luck as far as having very good options for settling down here goes, so we're gonna have to make the best of the situation we can. Now, I personally, when I'm settling a city or looking to settle a city, a lot of times I like to put the strategic view on. I just find it helps me really notice hills a lot easier, as you can see here, between like how they look here compared to how they look here. It's just, for me, it helps out a little bit. So speaking of that, we're going to go ahead and put our settler lens on that we already talked about to show where the fresh water locations are. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to plan to have our city down right here, because we'll have to use builders in order to get it up and running quickly, but that'll put us in range of both of the horses there, which will add some production. And there's 4 hills, well, I guess 5 hills within reach of them there, so it's something is better than nothing. But again, I'm not really super excited about that city at all here. But what can you do? You kind of got to work with what you have, right? So with that being said, we'll have to figure out another city over here. And I'd probably just go ahead and plop that down here. It's going to be a pretty shitty city, to be honest, but again, we don't really have much of a choice at this point, to be completely honest. Our pickings are pretty frickin' slim here in this game. So again, I'd probably do something like this and settle here as well, if we could sneak another city in. But, I mean, 5 cities, that's pretty tough. Now, the one thing that we do have working for us in this situation is that we, as the French, we have that bonus. I didn't really get into it at the time because it doesn't apply to the first 50 turns. But being that we're playing with the French, she has the Court of Love effect here, that great works in Eleanor cities each cause -1 loyalty per turn in foreign cities within 9 tiles. A city that leaves another civilization due to a loss of loyalty and is currently receiving that lost loyalty per turn from Eleanor civilization skips the free city step to join the civilization. So with any luck, maybe we'll be able to just completely fuck over Genghis and Montezuma here and start turning some of their cities and just loyalty flip them peacefully. So, I mean, we won't be able to find that out, seeing as how we are just doing this as a first 50 turns tutorial. But I mean, basically what I would be hoping for if I was really playing this game. Alright, so our scout bombed out and didn't find anything for us down here, so we'll send him on his way. We'll probably just put him onto automated exploration next.
Is not less worthy of honor.
Nice, so we picked up irrigation finally, which means we can go ahead and chop this now. But I think what we're going to do is, since we're going to get a builder anyways before we end up getting archery, because that's still a ways away for us here, we're going to go ahead and get the irrigation online first so that we can sell it and get some use out of it. Now, as far as our cash goes here, I think what we're going to do is just save up to buy a builder or possibly buy a warrior if the Aztecs start getting closer to us with another eagle warrior. We'll have to pay attention to whether they hang around or not. Now, speaking of warriors, there's no reason for us to have this guy down here, so we'll get them to head back up towards our second city, as if we do get attacked, it's probably going to be from the north here. Now, if we're lucky, depending on how the loyalty goes, we might be able to get another city in here as well. So we'll go ahead and throw that down for right now. But again, I'm not really holding my breath, as our production is going to be tied up in our Temple of Artemis and whatnot here. So I doubt that we'll be able to settle this city before either the Aztecs or the Mongols move in and take over that region there. But again, with everything we talked about, we're just going to put our slinger here, and hopefully we'll get lucky, and a barbarian will wander by, and we'll be able to get the boost. So it looks like our volcano is being active there, which is great. It's fertilizing some tiles. I mean, it's quite a ways away from our city anyway, so it's not really life-threatening by any means. You know what, that's making me rethink this a little bit here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, actually, we'd be able to squeeze in another city here, settling on the citrus, and then we can go ahead and settle. Oops. We could go ahead and settle right on the citrus to squeeze another city in there. Again, these aren't going to be the best cities in the world, but it's better to go wide than tall instead of 6. So something is better than nothing, I suppose. And with that extra culture ability and like the ability to flip cities that we talked about, we might not be completely screwed after all in this game. Okay, so we finished a slinger there. We're going to go ahead and pop over and start work on a builder now. And with this slinger, we're just going to move closer towards the Aztecs. The more military presence we have in the area, the better as far as I'm concerned. And then once we get this sugar online and give it to them, I think that will help things for us quite a bit, as we already mentioned. We'll keep exploring with the scout and see what's up here. We'll just turn them back to automated exploration. Looks like there's a barb camp here. Or no, never mind. I'm just imagining things. I thought it might be the spikes on the barb camp, but it's just trees there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get this up online now, which is nice. So that pissed him off. But now what we're going to do is go ahead and make a deal here. And we're going to give them the sugar. Let's see. Will you give 150 for it? It's always best, especially in the early game, to take the lump sum gold so that you can use it as quickly as you can. So they'll do 110, maybe 115. Always try and nickel and dime them for as much as you possibly can. So they'll do 119, but not 120. I was pretty sure they said no to that, right? Yeah. So there you go. 119 is the max they'll give us for the sugar, but we'll go ahead and do that, which gives us that cash to work with and do something, but it also satisfies their agenda that I mentioned there, so that should make them even happier. But now I'm seeing more and more eagle warriors around Nantes here. What we are going to do is go ahead and buy them a warrior. Again, there's no guarantee that they're not just going to attack us, but it's better to have a warrior in defense of the city right away than not. So we'll start sending our slinger over there as well, just in case they decide to get rowdy. And in the meantime, our warrior will just stay alert in the city. There we go. We managed to do it. So see, as I mentioned, we triggered their... By giving them that... By giving them that luxury resource right away and selling it to them, we triggered their leader's ability here. As you can see, they like civilizations who have the same luxury resources that they do and will try to collect every resource available. They dislike civilizations who have a new luxury resource that they've yet to collect. So because we triggered that, if we look over in the relationships, you can see he's happy you have controlled the same luxuries that he has. So we got plus 12 for that. Plus we sent them that delegation when we first met them. So that has made them our friends. So now we can declare friendship and they can't attack us for 30 turns, which means we have essentially completely made ourselves safe, which I wish I would have realized that before we got the warrior, because then I would have built or bought a builder in this city instead. But oh well, it's over and done with now. There's no really way to avoid it, because I'm not gonna like save scum or something like that. So we'll just go ahead and move back our units to where we were going to. We have nothing to worry about from the Aztecs anymore, so we'll just stay vigilant and we'll head down south with the slingers and head over east with the warrior here. Alright, so we got archery coming along. I mean, at this point, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to kill a barbarian with a slinger, so we're going to have to hard research it, which is a little bit frustrating. But, okay, so the Great Bath is gone, but that's to be expected. But hopefully we'll be able to get it here. We will have Magnus in 7 turns, which will be nice, and we'll be able to use some more powerful chops as well. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and put this scout on automated exploration now. We've met another city-state, which I believe that's 2. Yeah, so we still have 1 more to go before we get the tech boost to political philosophy, which is great. And speak of the devil, I think we finally lucked out. This is perfect. So you cancel your moves. So now they were so gracious as to spawn a barbarian camp next to us. So we're going to move in here, and ideally we're going to be able to kill one of them with a slinger in a perfect world. And it's timed out well that we got our Pantheon too. So now with the French here and their specific bonuses, especially with the ability to make those chateaus that just got buffed. Like if we take a quick look here, the chateaus add +2 culture and +1 appeal. So if we can get it, I want to get the Earth Goddess, I think it's called, the one that gives you oh shit, I saw Goddess and I got excited. Unfortunately we just have the Fire Goddess here. That looks like somebody already snagged the Earth Goddess on us. So with that being said, considering what we're going for, I mean, God of Festivals is a possibility. God of the Open Sky here. Divine Spark. Let's take a quick look around more, because we're not going to be worried too much about faith, other than eventually getting national parks and rock bands later in the game. Faith isn't too important to us. Now, plantation wise, we have like what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'd have 7 plantations if we went that route. I mean, there are quite a few pastures as well here. 2, 3, 4. But I think actually... Oh, I am honestly deadlocked right now. I'm thinking the two that I've narrowed it down to now is either God of the Festivals for the +1 culture from plantations. As we just said, there's up to 7 that we can get immediately, and that's a huge boost to our culture, especially considering we're only getting 4 plus 4.4 per turn at the moment. And we already talked about how important culture is in the early game, so that would be huge. The only other one that I'm considering right now is religious settlements here. It gives us a free settler in our capital, and that would allow us to beeline it right here and stake our claim on this city square. Now, let's take a look around. You know what? The city isn't really that breathtaking to begin with. I mean, it would only have 4, 5 hills for production. You know what? I'm gonna... Alright, so I thought about some more, and I decided we're gonna definitely go ahead and take Goddess of the Festivals here. That extra culture is just too hard to pass up, especially... I mean, I know that extra culture is just too hard to pass up. I think it's going to be a great boost for us in the early game here. And part of the reasoning behind that is what I'm going to plan to do with any luck is also to get this sugar online as quickly as can. And if we're lucky, Genghis Khan won't have any sugar, and he doesn't. So in a perfect world, what we're going to try and do is get this sugar set up as quickly as we can, and then trade it over to Genghis Khan there in order to buy us our 3rd settler. And if that doesn't work out, we're going to try and produce our second settler in Nantes. And with any luck, we'll still be able to nab this city location as quickly as we can here before one of them scoops it up on us. Alright, so we finished the builder. We still have 6 more turns for archery, which means that is perfect for us, that we're going to go ahead and grab another slinger in order to maximize our production, as we already talked about earlier. So we obviously need to save 1 builder charge here to clear that tile. We're going to save the other 2 for chopping once we get Magnus set up, and clearly we're going to chop this tile since that's where we're building our theater square eventually anyway. But we'll go ahead and chop this tile afterwards as well. So there's not really anything for this builder to do since they do only have 3 charges. We'll just go ahead and get them to go to sleep on the marsh and wait for us to get archery. Right, so we're going to go ahead and move across with our warrior. We're going to move in closer with the settler over here, which hopefully with the zone of control we'll be able to attack the scout with our warrior next turn, even if they move over here, and then with any luck finish them off with that slinger and get our boost towards archery, which... I mean, unfortunately, in one regard, that would screw up our production on the slinger, but it would allow us to start the temple a lot quicker, and that is obviously the more powerful choice at this point in the game. Alright, so... as we already talked about, we don't have anything to worry about from the Aztecs anymore, so we'll just continue on our merry way. Alright. So I think it works out here. Oh, you know what? Shit. I definitely don't want to head into a dark age, considering we are boxed in so close to these enemy civilizations. So I'm gonna risk us not getting the boost towards archery here, and I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna get this 3 air score here from taking their barbarian camp, which guarantees us our normal age, and then we will take another shot with our slinger here, but they're probably going to run off with the scout. If we do get lucky, we'll be able to kill the spearmen here if they move towards us instead of just attacking our warrior, but time will tell. Now with this guy, I'm going to move forward here to hopefully prevent the Aztec Eagle Warriors from getting too close to the scout. But again, we'll have to play it by ear and wait and find out. So we'll get that builder to go to sleep. Perfect. It actually worked out well for us. Their scouts suicided into our slinger because we did clear the encampment. The scout kind of goes batshit crazy when that happens. So it worked out great for us. Now, as we said, see, it totally screwed up production of the archer. But we're not worried about that at all anymore, as we're going to be switching out of it. So we're going to go ahead and... yeah, we're going to go ahead and chop this now to get rid of it and start our Temple of Artemis. So I'm not going to worry about waiting for Magnus for this one, because we just want to get this going as quickly as we can. So that gave us the boost towards early Empire, which is great, but we don't really care about that too much. We're going to get this temple locked down and then producing it as quickly as possible. Now, we will wait to get Magnus installed for these next 2 chops, but I think this should come along pretty nicely here. We should be able to get our Temple of Artemis going. Okay, so I just thought about it some more, and what we're going to do, I had been planning on putting my campus over here next to the volcano, but I think because we are planning to have that city there, that I'd rather be able to use the fertilized tiles for this city, because they kind of are shit out of luck as far as production and stuff goes. So with that being said, we'll plan to put our campus here on this square, which will have the bonus, and then we'll also plan to put our commercial hub over here on this square to increase the adjacencies even more. Unless I decide to get a wonder there later in the game. It all depends. We'll kind of play it by ear. But, I mean, turn 50 is coming up in the near future, so we obviously won't be getting that far, but I do want to get our campus down as quickly as we can, so we'll get our builder to head over this way for when Magnus does get set up. That's what we'll do, is we'll lock in the production cost of the campus right away. Now, speaking of locking in production costs, let's take a look at Nantes over here, because we definitely want to do the same with them and lock in their first district, which is going to be a campus because we have to wait to unlock our theater square anyway, and they should be at population 4 by that point. Yeah, I'm not really too worried about the adjacencies for right now. I'd probably just go something like this and throw their campus here, and then a commercial hub here, even though that would be later, and then I would be building their theater square over here, depending on if we get wonders and whatnot. We do have our Governor Plaza here, so we would definitely be choosing one of these tiles for the theater square, but we'll have to get bronze working to clear out the jungle before we can worry about that, which is fine because we still have a ways to go before we be getting to drama and poetry anyway. Now, I do want to just take a quick second here to say, if you've been enjoying this video at all, do me a favor and throw a like on the video. It goes a long way to helping a small channel like us get found out, so I'd appreciate that. But we're going to continue along. We do have archery taken care of now, so that was the main goal, so we could get our Temple of Artemis online, but I want to head in towards mining right away. And this is because we want to get... Oh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, we definitely need to get mining up online right away, because we can't even chop these fucking forests to help with our Temple of Artemis, because we don't have the technology to yet. So, clearly that's going to work out, but what I had been wanting to get mining up for, because I completely forgot about it, that not being able to chop part, was because I want to get our hills online as quickly as we can to build some mines. So it'll work out all in all anyway, because Magnus is still going to take... once we get him next turn, it's still going to take him 5 turns to lock in, so it all works out in the long run. We're going to get our warrior there to heal up, same thing with our slinger. Now, we'll just explore in this way. Let's see if they'll give us open borders. So we're going to change our policies now. We definitely are getting rid of God King, because we have gotten our Pantheon. There's no need to keep it in anymore. We're going to go ahead and slot in Corvée for the plus 15% production towards the wonders over urban planning. Like, that is definitely a good pick, and we would probably be dealing with it normally. But there's no point at this time, because I think that the plus 15% production towards the wonder is more important for us. Now, as far as our policies goes, I'm going to switch out of discipline, as I don't expect many barbarians to be spawning around us in the near future, and that extra gold can definitely be used for other things. Now, speaking of extra gold, I think we're finally over 215, so we should be able to buy a builder. Oh, no, it went up to 230 because we have some. So next turn we'll be able to purchase a builder in Nantes, and that will be a nice boost. Now, as far as what we're going to go for next, clearly we're going to head towards political philosophy as quickly as we can. And it's nice because we've gotten the boost now for foreign trade and early empire, so it'll definitely speed things up for us. Speaking of speeding things up for us, it's a perfect time. Let's go ahead and appoint Magnus in the capital here. So in 5 turns, we'll be able to start chopping and get some extra production. In fact, plus 50% worth with him. Now, with this slinger, we're just going to hang out here and fog bust, basically. Ouch, so it looks like there's... a barbarian boat there. Will back away from the coastline and heal up our scout. And same thing with our warrior. We're going to move. Alright, so he's trashing us, but it doesn't matter because he's already a declared friend, so he can kiss our ass. And it's really easy to keep your friends. Let's make a deal, though, and see if we can get open borders. It's definitely worth the 1 gold. That actually, having the open borders, not only is it going to make it easier for us to scout, but it actually improves your diplomatic relations with the nation too, so that'll help us in that regard. So we're going to go ahead and turn this warrior into automate exploration and take advantage of our open borders, so we can really get up in their grill and see what the Aztecs have going on as far as cities and terrain and whatnot. Now, with this guy, we'll just move down here, and then we'll basically put them on alert, just like I said, just to fog bust. Now, we'll put that slinger the same as the warrior up there and get them to head towards the Aztecs to see what's up. Alright, so this slinger is just going to sit here and wait. Got 1 more turn before mining's done, and 2 more turns before Magnus is established in the city, so that's good. Now, we got 9 turns left on Temple of Artemis, but we'll be able to get that sped up as quickly as we can. We'll go ahead and put that warrior on alert like we talked about. Okay, so we hit the classical age now,
Deserves more credit than the
which is good. Killing that barbarian camp allowed us to secure our normal age, so we're not in any perilous loyalty situations, which is great, considering how close we are to them. Now, as far as our dedication goes, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I would always suggest you take free inquiry if you don't manage to get a golden age in your if you don't manage to get a golden age when you're headed into the classical era, because it's a lot easier for you to trigger the Eurekas in the scientific tree rather than to get the inspirations in the culture tree. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Alright, we got our dedication figured out. A city is losing loyalty, apparently. Alright, so apparently Nantes isn't the happiest right now. Looks like, I'm assuming that the Montezuma went into a golden age. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and turn on that new feature here. I think it should be an interface. Right here. Show yields in HUD ribbon. I think this is it. We're going to confirm that's something new that they added with the patch. And so it's going to show you what all the different your competition is doing. Basically, they've taken this, they've given credit to it, but essentially what this came from was CQ UI. That's a mod that I love and suggest getting as soon as you can. It always makes the game a lot funner to play. They just have so many convenient little quality of life improvements that I can't recommend it enough. But the actual producers took notice of how good of an idea they had, and so they went ahead and implemented this in the last patch. So I've forgotten to get that on, because I mean I'll be turning it off once I get CQUI again, and they actually managed to fix the mod with the new patch, because as of right now it's not up online again. Okay, so let's keep going here. We've got our mining, so we're ready to do those chops. I'm going to go ahead and keep going and get bronze working next. Not only will it show us where iron is on the map, and possibly give us more locations where we can get production, since we have our options are fairly limited down here. It's also going to allow us to chop those. Oh, brain fart. It's also going to allow us to chop those jungles that we talked about earlier when we were looking to set up a nice spot for their theater square district in Nantes here. Now, we do have 18 turns still until they rebel. We're going to have to resolve that as soon as we can, but essentially I'm not too worried about it, because what we're going to do is we're going to do our chops here with the builder, and once we've done the chop here on the once we've used up the builder's 2 charges and chopped our 2 forests here, we'll just send Magnus over there, and then he should be able to correct the loyalty problem anyway. If we take a look here, if we take a look here at the loyalty thing, it's only falling by minus 5.1 loyalty per turn, and governors give you +8, so that'll basically correct itself in no time. Not to mention, when we do buy their builder here, which I totally forgot to do, we meant to do that a couple turns ago. We'll do that now, but once we get the sugar online, that'll help a little bit, but not for long, considering we're just going to be selling it off anyway. So our scout over here has healed up. We're going to manually explore with him for right now to keep them away from that shoreline where that quadrine was. So we've met Coupe. Great, it's an honor to meet you, and let's exchange capitals. So sweet, he's nice and far away from us there. As we talked about, we want good relationships, so we're going to go ahead and send him a delegation immediately. So now he won't hate us in a perfect world. Our builder's going to go ahead and get the sugar up online here, as we already mentioned. So now let's talk to Genghis and see what he'll give to us for it. So let's see if he'll do 119 they would do. Oh, he'll even go higher. Okay, so let's start at 150. They won't do that. 140. They'll do 140. Come on, baby. All right. 146. Yep. 47. There you go. So 147 is his match, so we'll keep that in mind. But let's talk to our new buddy Coupe over here and see what he'll give us for it. And unfortunately, he's a stingy little bastard, so we'll go back and do it. It was 147, I think. And we'll do our little deal with Genghis here for 147. Alright, there we go. So we'll go ahead and trade that away, get us some more cash here. In the meantime, I don't really think there's anything to spend it on now. What we'll probably do... Yeah, see, I didn't think we'd be able to get this location here anyway. The Aztecs went and gobbled up that territory. We'll take a quick look in our settler lens here, and I suppose if we're going here, we need to be 4 turns away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I suppose we could settle here. And squeeze one more city in that way, and we just have to make an aqueduct or whatever, which is definitely possible. So that's something that we would probably do. Now, as far as what city we'd settle next, would probably be that one, just to lock in that territory, because we kind of cramped in here and we got to make do with what we can. But that will at least be a little bit of a land grab there for us. So now we've got Magnus in here. We're going to go ahead and wake up our builder, and we're going to do the chop, which we have 5 turns left right now on Artemis, and we're down to 1. So hopefully we don't get sniped. We'll get that next turn. Now what we want to do though is lock in. So what we'll do is next turn we'll actually still, well, we'll have to wait another turn because we have to cross the river. But what we're going to do is after we get Temple of Artemis, we'll switch into... Yeah. Okay, so sorry, I got this figured out now. What we're going to do is we are going to... We're going to go ahead and lock the cost of the government plaza in now. We are losing out being able to harvest the wheat for some growth in the city, but I want to get that price locked in as quickly as possible because we're finishing up the Temple of Artemis next turn. But then what we're going to do is we're going to chop this forest before we move Magnus over to Nantes. But we're actually going to use that production towards getting a settler. We're going to switch to building the settler and hopefully be able to have a significant improvement to the chop there. Okay, so we're at turn 44. We're coming up on turn 50 pretty close here. We're doing all right, I think, so far. We'll go ahead and turn this scout back to automated exploration.
Juan and Maria on his
Right,
swiftest horse. As he overtook them,
looks like
Maria
the
flew
Aztecs were lucky and found a nice location here. Fuck, they have some nice territory back here too. So, I mean, even though we're going for a culture game, if we don't end up like peacefully loyalty flipping, I think at some point we might just conquer the Aztecs quickly to gobble up all this nice territory here, and then kind of concentrate on culture from then on. But yeah, they definitely have some nice territory up here, that's for sure.
Of Artemis that mounted to the clouds, those other marvels lost their brilliancy. And I said, lo, apart from Olympus, the sun never looked on aught so grand.
Alright, sweet deal. So we got our Temple of Artemis. It's looking nice and pretty there. It gave us the boost towards drama and poetry like we talked about earlier, so that is a great start for us. Now, as we said, we're going to get our builder to head over there. We're going to start production in the meantime, because since he can't chop until next turn, we'll put one more turn of production into the government plaza over there. Now, Nantes has finally finished their builder. They actually have an abundance of builders. So we'll head down here to get that banana online, and we'll head over with our builder here to get working on a mine right away. Now we want to start working, getting our culture up as quickly as we can. So we're going to go ahead and build a monument here, I think. It is a close... Yeah, I would say it is close between choosing a granary in order to increase the housing and food population. But I think the culture will pay off in the long run, especially with us being so close here, that it will help out with the loyalty issues as well once we get a governor there and get them back up to full loyalty. So looks like Coupe here is ready to be friendly with us, so might as well go ahead and do that. Okay, so it looks like our scout friend decided to be a dick and go right on the coastline again, so we'll back him up one square and then heal up. Alright, so now that our builder's in place and ready to chop, what we're going to do is, like we already talked about, actually, never mind, I'm taking that back. What we're going to do is just have our warrior chill out here for a minute. We're going to wait the 2 more turns, and then we're going to slot in colonization for the plus 50% towards settlers, and then do the chop there. I definitely think that's the most optimal way. So we're going to go ahead and build that mine here with the builder. Okay, so there's a barbarian horseman. Let's run for the hills, quite literally, and hopefully the Aztecs have some units nearby. We'll fortify for the eventual attack that is sure to come. But again, we're just going to keep running into the hills, and hopefully the Aztecs will swarm them for us. Let's get our slinger in even closer, and maybe we'll be able to knock it off. Time will tell. But our builder here can head over and build us another mine. This guy can drop that plantation we talked about, giving us an extra culture. Yes, yes. So he's actually happy that we don't have a lot of cavalry. Now we've managed to get early empire here, so we're going to go ahead and slot in colonization like we talked about. There's no need to have Corvée online anymore. As far as our military policies go, our loyalty is going to take care of itself once we move Magnus to Nantes, so I'm not really worried about that. So we're going to go ahead and leave conscription in as well to keep saving us that money. So we'll go ahead and confirm this now. Now that we have that confirmed, we're going to go ahead and switch production to our settler here in the capital. We'll do the chop here, which takes it down to 2 turns. And now we'll go ahead and reassign. We'll go ahead and reassign Magnus to Nantes over here for the added loyalty, which takes care of that. So it will have full loyalty in 2 turns, which is nice. And then seeing as how we did just unlock another governor title, we're going to go ahead and pick up Pingala for ourselves here, and we'll get him slotted into the capital. Alright, so things are continuing along nicely for us. We got our slot ready to put our theater square down here. As soon as we unlock the available tech, we are safe from the Aztecs, which is nice. And things are looking fairly good so far, actually. Alright, so what we'll end up doing is just headed over to this jungle tile here with the builder, and we'll wait till Magnus gets installed, and then we'll go ahead and make that chop, because we'll eventually go ahead and get a mine built on top of there. Now, it looks like the horsemen did peace out, so we'll just sit here with our builder and our slinger in the meantime and let the Aztecs deal with them. Once we're healed up, we probably go back and continue exploring a little bit here. But for now, we'll just sit on our asses and play it nice and safe. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with the channel. Again, we're going to just put our builder to sleep until Magnus gets installed there. Looks like Koopa here wants to be nice and send us a delegation, which is great. And there we go. We just got bronze working, so now we can actually chop those jungles, which is great. Plus it reveals iron on the map to us. And unfortunately, it's not looking like we have a whole bunch of it. Let's take a quick look here with the map search. So we have the one there. I mean, we found 5, but I don't think they're anywhere where we're going to be building our cities. Yeah, so Rapa Nui has one. And the rest are all up where the Aztecs are. So as I already mentioned before, I think we probably end up attacking the Aztecs at some point if we were going to play this game through. Either whether it's taking them over peacefully with our... Whether it's taking them over peacefully with our culture ability as the French here, or just saying fuck it and totally attacking them, one way or the other, I would be taking the Aztecs territory. But yeah, so that's turn 50 we hit here. I hope this helped a little bit. If you have any questions or concerns about different moves I was making and you want a little bit more elaboration, or maybe I made a mistake and you want to point it out to me, feel free to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. But with that being said, just want to thank you for watching here, and I'll see you in the next video.